Welcome back everybody to Media Moogle. I am Ole Gamer Joe here with another Media Moogle review of this eagerly anticipated title by many of you, Cloudpunk, which is now available on Steam as of April 23rd of 2020. It is coming a little bit later to the PS4, the Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch as well. I guess I would best describe it as a cyberpunk delivery service game of sorts where you are tasked with delivering packages to and from different locations, and it comes from developer Ion Lands. You will play as Rania or Rania. They kind of call her both in this game, so I couldn't really settle on the exact pronunciation of that, but I think for the most part they say Rania. She is desperate to make some money and has lost her home where she previously lived, so has now moved to the city of Nivalis, where she will become a Cloudpunk driver in order to make good money and get back on track. These delivery jobs range from pretty tame to pretty dangerous and will put Rania in a variety of different situations. The entire time she is being told what to do by her boss, who is referred to throughout the game as Control, and that's what you will come to know him as. The two get to know each other more and more through radio transmission, but that's not the only communication that Rania has with the outside world, because an AI aboard her ship also helps her along the way. This is known as her Automata Custom Personality, and she is allowed to shape it into whichever form she wishes. She chooses to make it a dog, or I guess at some point it was her dog named Camus, and Camus kinda acts as a guide throughout the game as well. So in a lot of ways, Cloudpunk becomes a game that's more about choices than anything else. Even though the core gameplay is really point A to point B, delivering packages, the real weight and emotions of this game are shown through dialogue and some choices that you'll make with these packages that you deliver. For example, at some points you might pick up a package that has consequences because you know it might be a bomb, for example, but do you deliver it anyways and do your job, or do you do the right thing morally and get rid of that bomb? So you'll have to make choices. Is something worth doing to get more money, or is something worth doing because it's moral and just? The controls of your ship are pretty simple and feel good. You can gas forward, you can go backwards, and you can land your ship as well on parking areas that are designated. You will need to do this in order to get to the on-foot sections of the game, where you will then deliver the package to the shady individual, typically. Your ship can also take damage if you're not careful to avoid hitting obstacles or buildings that are throughout the city, and you will have to stop at recharge stations, or I guess you could call them repair places, where you will have to fix the ship for a fee in order to continue driving it and not have it disintegrate. There are also upgrades which can improve your ship, and eventually you'll get a new ship altogether. And on top of that, there are little side quests scattered across the city where you can do favors for individuals that are in need, but for the most part they play out exactly as the delivery service mechanic does, with you flying from point A to point B to complete your task. Outside of going through the main story and unraveling the past and the present of Cloudpunk itself as an organization, there are little items scattered across the map as well for you to stop off and pick up if you choose. These will help you to complete some of the side quests and eat food in some cases, which you are tasked with doing, but don't worry, there aren't really a lot of survival type mechanics throughout this game. Not that there's anything wrong with survival games, mind you, just not generally my cup of tea. And then Rania has an apartment that she's renting out because of her new salary from Cloudpunk. It's nothing special, but you can pimp it out with more and more items as you progress throughout the game. This includes a retro console and a nice fridge where you can also get a pizza delivery subscription. So the replayability of Cloudpunk comes down to if you want to collect everything for your house and pick up all of the little items and finish all the little side quests that are scattered across the city. Cloudpunk feels pretty long though. There's quite a few hours of gameplay here, and a lot of that is due to how much dialogue there is. There are conversations that just go on in this game, and they don't want to end for some reason. I found myself eventually having to skip through some of them because of the tiny little details that they throw in. I get that they're building a world here, and the game does do a pretty good job of that, but some of these conversations just go into pointless territory, and I couldn't wait for certain ones to end. This isn't helped by a mixed bag of voice acting. Some of it is pretty good, with the lead character actually not being bad, but some of it is really bad too, so...
I am back.
Did you hear all of that?
On the run, Rania? I don't like it.
He's a racer, not a poet, Camus.
Are you going to take the old part back to the mechanic man?
Do be prepared for a lot of dialogue throughout this game, some of it pretty good and entertaining, particularly the conversations between Rania and her counterparts as she flies across the city, but other conversations are downright boring, uninteresting, and I couldn't wait for them to end. I think the overall gameplay loop of Cloudpunk is destined to stir up the crowds and cause some controversy as well, because there just isn't really a lot to do. Unfortunately, you go to point A, you go to point B, you get out of your ship, and it's really exciting and it's really fun to fly around the city, but what ends up happening is that there's not much action throughout the game, and this is a world that could really benefit from some. I wanted some races, some gunfights, something, because there's really great personality and charm to this city. I don't mean to try to turn this game into an action game, but boy, could it sure have benefited from that. I could see some thrilling shootouts racing across the city. I was envisioning all of this while I was playing, but I was relegated to delivering things from one point to another and going through the same, inevitably boring loop of gameplay. That's really a shame, because Nivalis is such an inviting and vast city. This feels huge and lived in. I love the world that they've built here. There's no doubt in my mind that towards the end of the year, when the Game Awards start popping up for various outlets, that Cloudpunk graphically will have to be on that list. The neon city lights, the breathtaking landscapes, and the ships that fly along with you throughout the city are all incredible to take in. It's by far the strongest point of this game. Fantastic looking title with great lighting, great atmosphere, and the soundtrack is just oozing with that retro synth and those beats that we all so love right now and hopefully always will, that you really almost want to forgive the gameplay shortcomings of Cloudpunk, because they've built such a fantastic world and it really is something to marvel at and take in. Instead, Cloudpunk chooses world building and style over actual gameplay substance. That's going to be a good thing for some people, and that's going to be a bad thing for others, which makes it a difficult title for me to say one way or another if you should play. While I found the overall story interesting enough and the world so engaging, I was willing to push through some of the game's shortcomings in terms of gameplay. A lot of you might not be willing to do that. So if you're expecting high-octane action and adventure out of Cloudpunk, you're not going to get it. But if you're looking for a chilled-out experience that is enjoyed in small burst gameplay and at your own leisure, then Cloudpunk might actually do it for you, especially if you're a fan of its aesthetic. While I ultimately felt like Nivalis was a city begging for some action, it unfortunately never came. For more on Cloudpunk and all of our other content, head on over to MediaMoogle.net, where we have some great podcasts like I Dream of Indie for you to check out. And if you have enjoyed our video coverage today, help us bring a voice to the voiceless by hitting the subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching.